The sun bled its final streaks of gold across Sandpiper Cove, a stretch of silent shore known for its amber dunes and restless tides. 5 childhood friends, Lena, Igor, Olya, Sasha, and Misha, arrived in a battered minivan just as the gulls wheeled home. They unpacked sleeping bags and set up a tent beneath an abandoned pier, its pilings worn smooth by salt spray. The air tasted of iodized wind and warm sand. The gentle hiss of waves whispered against creaking wood like a lullaby. Locals spoke of the whispering tide, an old legend claiming sea wives call on the lost at midnight, luring swimmers to drown. They laughed it off. But night has a way of turning stories into warnings. As twilight deepened, they stacked driftwood and lit a fire whose orange tongues danced across the pilings. Driftwood crackled, sending sparks aloft like fireflies. They roasted fish caught earlier, the scent of sizzling trout and charred seaweed hanging heavy. Misha, never the daredevil, challenged them to an underwater scavenger hunt beneath the pier. "Find the lantern Dad lost out here years ago," he teased, twisting a seaworm necklace into his free hand. Out in the shallows, the sea swallowed their laughter. Moonlight swept beneath the pier, illuminating swirling plankton like drifting embers. Misha dove in, searching among barnacled pillars. Sasha gripped Igor's arm, her heart hammered like surf against the shore. Then the water stilled. A faint glow pulsed deep beneath the pylons. Sasha peered into the inky water and gasped. An oil lantern suspended by unseen hands, its wick aflame with an otherworldly green light. Misha surfaced, face pale in that sickly glow, seaweed clinging to his hair. He held the lamp aloft, its oily sheen sliding across his skin in eerie patterns. On the beach, they placed the lantern on a stump of driftwood. Its unnatural glow bent shadows into grotesque shapes. The bonfire's embers sputtered as though afraid. Salty sweat beaded on Lena's brow, trickling down her neck. Olya, digging her toes into the sand, uncovered a small shell carved with diamond facets, identical to the carvings on the lantern's handle. She held it up, the lamp flickered, winking as if acknowledging an old acquaintance. Suddenly, the wind died. The waves, once a gentle lullaby, went silent, flat as glass. Igor clicked his flashlight on, but it refused to spark. Sasha leaned toward the lantern, strands of her hair drifting in its glow, and felt a whisper brush her ear. "Sasha." She spun, empty night greeting her. Then again, from beneath the pier, "Come." Their camp chairs sat perilously close to the water's edge, as if drawn forward by an unseen tide. Misha laughed, but his eyes had gone black, voids that swallowed every sliver of hope. At the stroke of midnight, without a hand to twist it, the lantern's brass clasps clicked open. Its light flared, washing the beach in an angry green luminescence. From the depths under the pier rose a chorus of hollow moans, dozens of voices chanting a single name. "Misha, Misha." Misha stepped forward, water dripping from his limbs. His skin went translucent, revealing dark veins like tidal channels. Then climbing up the beach behind him, ghostly fishermen emerged. Barnacle-encrusted forms with gaping jaws and seaweed-matted hair. Each carried a lantern of its own, dead flames flickering inside. One hollow-eyed figure reached for Misha's shoulder. He tilted his head and smiled. A smile that cracked his jaw impossibly wide. "They've missed me," he croaked. Olya seized the lantern and hurled it at the doppelganger. The oil lamp shattered, light dancing across the surf. Instantly, that shape dissolved into a swirl of sea spray. The tide surged. In a frantic scramble, the real Misha lunged into the surf, wrapping his arms around Olya. But Sasha stood frozen, transfixed by a pair of lantern lights bobbing toward her. She bolted into the dunes, only to vanish into the tall grass as a spectral hand closed around her ankle, pulling her back to the whispering shore. At dawn, Igor, Lena, and Olya emerged from the dunes, traces of soot and seaweed in their hair, eyes hollow with terror. They carried the shattered remains of the lantern in trembling hands. On the empty beach lay 3 pairs of footprints, theirs, leading away from the water and at the water's edge, a single set of larger prints that ended abruptly. Weeks later, a ranger found the campsite abandoned, 4 sleeping bags unzipped, 1 tent half buried in sand, and the shore littered with driftwood chairs. The only sign of Sasha and Misha was a cruel message scrawled in the wet sand. 2 of 5. Now, if you camp under the old pier and listen at midnight, you may hear 5 voices calling out across the tide. Some answer and vanish without a trace. Others leave a pair of shells on the beach, carved in diamond patterns, hoping the sea forgets them. But the whispering tide never forgets. They called it Widow's Cove, a stretch of sand so remote that even the ferry captains steered clear of its jagged inlet. Legend said a lighthouse once stood on the headland, its light extinguished when the keeper's wife vanished into the sea. Now, only rusted pilings remained, half buried in dune grass. On a sweltering July afternoon, Emma and Victor crested the final rise of sun-baked sand, the Atlantic wavering beneath a haze of heat. Their rental, Corolla, rattled behind them, its windows smeared with salt spray. They planned a night of swimming beneath the stars and a dawn departure for the city. But Widow's Cove has a way of turning intentions into illusions. Victor hopped from the car, stretching long legs stiff from the highway. Emma followed, bare feet sinking into sand so hot it curled her toes. A breeze off the water carried brine and distant gull cries, but behind them lay a wall of pines, dark and silent. They pitched their single tent beside the dunes, unraveling blankets and unpacking a cooler. By twilight, the cove was a watercolor of lavender and ash. They waded into shallow surf, laughing as the water curled around their ankles. Victor dived beneath a gentle wave and resurfaced with a grin. Emma's phone lay abandoned on the hood. No bars, no hope of rescue if anything went wrong. When they returned to the car, Victor twisted the key, and nothing. The engine churned weakly, then died. He tried again. Dead. The headlights flickered, then faded entirely, leaving the beach bathed only in dying twilight. Emma's heart pounded. She tapped at the dashboard lights. No fuses had blown. The battery was inexplicably drained. They exchanged uneasy glances. "Okay," Victor said, voice low. "We'll just sleep here. I'll fix it in the morning." Emma forced a smile. It's just one night. But Widow's Cove doesn't listen to plans. Night fell in an instant. One moment the sky was a pale bruise. The next it was obsidian, pierced by starlight. The hush was profound. No crickets, no rustle of dunes, only their ragged breathing. Emma shivered despite the heat. She checked the phone again. Still no signal. Suddenly, down the beach, a flicker of torchlight glimmered. Then another, and another. At first, they thought it was a passing fishing boat, until the torches moved inland, weaving through the dunes in a line. silhouetted figures advanced toward them, arms outstretched. Victor rose to confront them. "Hello," his voice cracked. The figures halted, then split apart, stalking forward in pairs. Emma grabbed his arm. "Don't," she whispered. They bolted across the sand toward the tree line. The torches multiplied, half a dozen now, each flame bobbing like hungry eyes. The forest loomed ahead, an inky barrier of trunks and undergrowth. They ducked among pines, branches clawing at their clothes. Behind them, soft footsteps on sand. Too many. "Run!" Victor hissed. They darted deeper into the woods, sidestepping gnarled roots and stepping over fallen logs. Every so often, a torchlight would pierce the trees, followed by a low chant, words in a language neither recognized but vibrated with malice. They burst into a hidden glade, heartbeats pounding like war drums. In its center sat a crude stone altar, sea-smoothed rocks stacked in a rough spiral. The torchbearers formed a circle beyond the saplings. At the altar knelt a solitary figure, a woman in a soaking white dress, hair matted with sand. Her back was to them, shoulders slumped. Emma and Victor froze. The woman rose and turned, and Emma's blood ran cold. Her face was ashen, eyes black as deep water. A single curved scar traced her jawline like a slash from a shell. She lifted an arm, pointing at them with trembling fingers. The circle closed in. Emma backed away, but Victor grabbed her hand. They spun, crashing through underbrush toward the shoreline, torchlight snapping at their heels. The sand gave way to pebbles, then to wet sand slick with moonlit seaweed. Behind them rose a chorus of voices, chanting their names in slow, sorrowful tones. They reached the water's edge, waves licking at their ankles, but the circle was almost upon them. Victor splashed forward, dragging Emma into the surf. The cold hit them like shards of glass, but each step sank them deeper. Torchlight shone on the breakers, then vanished. They surfaced gasping, blades of moonlight dancing on the swell. Behind them, the forest stood quiet, empty, no torches, no voices, only the hollow roar of the ocean and their ragged breaths. At dawn, a lone lifeguard's jeep rolled down the access road and found the Corolla abandoned. Doors open, sand trampled in all directions. No sign of Emma or Victor. Only two sets of footprints leading into the water, ending abruptly beneath the waves. Later that week, locals whispered of lights seen flickering between dunes at night, and of a pale woman crying for company in the surf. Some say the cove claimed new souls, tethering them forever to a tide that never lets go. Now, if you drive past the old lighthouse road after dark, you might glimpse headlights that stall mid-beach. And if you listen, you'll hear two voices begging for help, fading with each wave. A battered station wagon rattled down a narrow sun-baked road, tires crunching over loose gravel. Inside, Martin gripped the steering wheel as his wife, Lena, adjusted the family GPS. Their son, Alex, pressed his forehead against the cool glass, scanning for signs of civilization. Their daughter, Mia, munched on chips, her long hair tangled in the breeze from the open windows. The sign appeared suddenly. Sunset Beach, 4 miles. Beyond it lay a ribbon of pale sand and a throng of beachgoers, so many that the shoreline shimmered with umbrellas packed shoulder to shoulder. They'd driven hours from the city for one perfect Saturday, sun, waves, quality time. As they climbed from the car, the air tasted of salt and sunscreen. Laughter rolled in from the water's edge. Children ran, scooters zoomed on the boardwalk, and couples strolled under rainbow canopies. For a moment, everything felt normal. Martin found a parking spot near an old wooden lifeguard tower, its paint chalked with the year 1959. They unloaded coolers and chairs, staking their claim on a patch of sand just beyond the surf line. Alex and Mia dashed into the water, their squeals fading into the distant roar. Lena laid out towels while Martin dug his toes into the warm grains, watching waves crest and collapse in eternal rhythm. After a swim, they gathered under a striped umbrella. Alex waved at a passing family building a sandcastle. "Hey, nice moat!" he shouted. The group paused mid-scoop, but said nothing, silent as statues. Mia offered her sister's discarded goggles to two girls diving for shells. They turned, faces blank, and stared straight through her. "Did they not hear us?" Lena whispered. Martin frowned. Probably too busy. He waved at a woman nearby selling ice-cold sodas from a cooler. She met his gaze but made no move to stand. Her hands remained folded in her lap. A distant radio crackled old pop tunes, teeny and out of place. Yet, no one fiddled with it. The family glanced at one another, unease rippling through them like a cold current. No laughter, no greetings, no children's shrieks, only the relentless hiss of surf. Martin sprang to his feet. "Something's wrong." He strode toward the water's edge, Lena close behind. Every footprint in the sand was crisp, except around the lifeguard tower where prints ended abruptly as if walkers had vanished. The boardwalk stairs creaked under Martin's weight, but the planks looked decades old, splintering beneath his boots. He found an information kiosk buried in dunes. A faded map proclaimed Sunset Beach Resort. Below it, a yellowed newspaper clipping tacked to the board read, "Fatal storm drowns dozens at Sunset Beach, September 12th, 1962. His heart lurched. He scanned the beach. Everyone wore fashions that looked decades out of date, high-waisted swim trunks, kerchiefed heads, and cat-eye sunglasses. Alex tugged at his sleeve. "Dad, look at their reflections." They turned to the water. The figures on the shore cast no mirror image in the surf. Waves lapped at their ankles as if they were weightless. Lena's voice trembled. "They're ghosts." A sudden hush fell over the entire beach. The radio sputtered to silence. The wind died. In place of laughter, a mournful chant rose, indistinct but sorrowful. The family backed away. No one, clapped once. Then again. Dozens of phantom hands rang out, echoing against the dunes. Martin grabbed Lena and the children. They raced toward the station wagon, heartbeats pounding like surf-torn drums. But the engine wouldn't turn over. The headlights dimmed to nothing. In the rearview mirror, a silent procession advanced across the sand. Pale faces etched with longing, empty eye sockets burning with cold light. Dawn arrived without fanfare. A lone county ranger en route to a fishing site discovered the station wagon parked at the lot entrance. Doors were wide open, the upholstery was damp with morning dew. Inside lay 4 pairs of footprints on the seats, as if the family had vanished in mid-stride. On the sand, trailing into the surf, were 4 smaller prints that ended abruptly at the waterline. By afternoon, the ranger found the old kiosk buried even deeper in shifting dunes. The 1954 date had peeled away entirely. No records existed of Sunset Beach Resort. No missing persons reports matched Martin, Lena, Alex, or Mia. But some evenings, when the tide retreats just so, locals say you can glimpse a young boy and girl playing at the water's edge, and a man and woman watching them from beneath a striped umbrella. Wave at them if you dare. They will nod, but they will not reply. And as the last light bleeds from the sky, you may hear the soft echo of a family's laughter, stranded forever on the shores of a beach that time, and the living forgot.